So with this week's episode of Kino's Journey, we shift the perspective once again, but this time focusing back on Shizu and the new character T, which I really appreciate because back when we had the episode where T joined his party, I was a little underwhelmed with T as a character because really it was a cool aspect of a character. I felt like there was a lot of potential with her character, but we didn't get enough time to see anything with it. And I didn't think we would see any more of them this season, to be 100% honest. I thought if Lurch decided to do another season, that's when we'd get more of them. So to shift the perspective fully on them again, I was really appreciative of that fact because this really gave me enough of appreciation for T as a character, and of course more Shizu is always nice as well. And not to mention, they were in a pretty interesting country where it's not that interesting when you just look at it as a surface level, it's just a pretty normal town, but when you see that they're seemingly being kind of controlled by radio waves that more or less sends them into pretty insane criminal acts, that's when it gets a little interesting. But I like seeing it because we have, once again, a character like Shizu who will change a country's ways, or will try to fix a country, where Kino will just kind of roll with the country. If this was Kino, she would have just been kind of like, okay, you got this happening, and if they were paying her to do something, or it was going to affect her in some way, sure, she'd kind of go along with it, but more or less she would have just moved on and let them kind of carry on their ways, believing that these radio waves were kind of causing him into criminal acts, whereas Shizu's like, yeah, I'll take care of this for you. And it's not surprising that when he got there, everything was already destroyed. It's kind of like, well, of course. I mean, the fact that somehow these were getting passed around by generation to generation, that somehow this was still affecting everyone in their town, it's no surprise that when they got there, it's all in their head, and they're trying to convince themselves that no one in their city or no one in their country would be able to kill people or go on insane rampages. Of course, it has to be this ancient technology that's kind of like been passed down to generation. But it's very nice seeing T as a character because even though T doesn't speak much, I felt like we got to know her a lot more than we did within the first episode that we saw her in. It was pretty nice to see Shizu once again, just seeing how different he is with different countries compared to Kino as a character. It's kind of interesting because for the most part, about 2/3 of the episode was this kind of like radio wave country, and then the last third of it was the dog as well as T pretty much go on the very short adventure, but it's kind of just showing that even though she doesn't speak much, and even though she might seem like she hasn't much going on inside her mind, she actually does think a lot, and it's nice to see how they are bonding and becoming friends and almost like a little family, so to speak. But I did like this country because I don't think Kino's Journey needs to have the most insane country, the most groundbreaking ideas for a plot. Just having a country that literally is trying to convince themselves that refused to ever go to that radio station, because if you got too close, that's when you would really lose your mind, and how they convinced themselves that Shizu was affected by these radio waves, and that, of course, that's why he's saying these things, because they can't bring themselves to admit that people can do bad things. And it's even more insane when you see what Shizu does at the end, where he takes one of the police officers kind of hostage, and then says, yeah, you know, this was my plan all along. There's actually another radio station, and I amplified everything, so by tomorrow, you guys are gonna go insane, which is either going to force them to admit that the radio waves are kind of BS, they don't exist, or possibly they're just gonna go insane. And it's pretty interesting how he leaves that country because they refuse his help, so he kind of gives them one last push, but it's not guaranteed that's going to fix it. If anything, it might actually turn that country into an even worse state than it was. But I liked it because once again, we shift the perspective. We have a very kind of interesting idea for a country, but also it's nice that we got this extra episode for T because we didn't really get enough time to kind of understand her character. So now I feel like we've had enough in this season. I'm just thankful that this happened because I didn't think we would see any more with her, and I'm glad we did. I like all the characters in Kino's Journey, so to see different perspectives, even though this is Kino's Journey, and you could say it's had a lot less of Kino than you would typically expect, I like that myself. And of course, when we get more Kino, that's going to be great as well. But this was a good episode. Wasn't my favorite episode, but I do think that pretty much this show has been consistent over the past few weeks here of just really doing solid episodes, not feeling like it's too fast or too slow. It feels like this is the pace it needs to be. And I think Lurch has done an overall great job for this season. And I can't wait to see where we're going to go next week. I don't know if we're going to be focusing on Kino or not. Anyone who knows can let me know in the comment section below. But yeah, this was a good episode, but let me know your thoughts. And before you leave, smack that like button to show your support. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.